Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball, the first ever Talkin' Baseball Power Rankings. Buckle up! Jeff Passanday.
Splinker.
Bat speed. Yeah. Yeah! Paul Skeens, get out! Before the rain gets you. Hey, Livy, thanks for tuning in. Thank you all for tuning in to Talkin' Baseball, presented to you by SeatGeek, code TALKIN10. BBD, behind the ones and twos, myself, Jake Storielli, and Trevor Plouffe. Here to lay it out, man. We're at what, the quarter pole of the season? If you're looking for the recap today, we love you. Might be a little bit of a funky week. But we are doing what the people want, what the people need, whatever makes them happy. Kenneth Fareed. And Trev, I think we thought this was going to be a fun exercise, and maybe it is. We're going to lose some people today. Trying to dice these teams up. A little trickier than we thought.
I'm hip with the kids. This is going to be like a tier list, but it's not going to be a tier list because I don't know how to do a tier list. But you're right. Like I think there's groups of teams that you could probably place in, any order you wanted. They all kind of make sense. But yeah, you're right. Like, for instance, I'm very curious where you guys have the Cardinals.
Right.
I'm very curious where you guys have the Rangers. There's a lot of teams in baseball right now that are just kind of up in the air. It kind of could be anywhere. So I think this is going to be fun. I believe we're going to try to come to a consensus, right? We all have our own rankings right here. This is not a blank sheet, although it looks blank from back here.
Looks blank from
and then we're going to try to just do a Talking Baseball power rankings.
We're coming up with
but
one
I'm not
list.
using that. I'm not doing power rankings. Everyone else is using power rankings. We can't call it power rankings, right?
Trev, I like that you're running hot today.
I'm running hot.
The baseball community's hot. Sports are hot in the streets. And yeah, I thought, at the rip, I wanted to do a little compare contrast because we have the people. I am the mouthpiece of the people. And
I would say that.
And Jeff Passan's mouthpiece. That when we do our team profile and projections, we ask the people to rank them. And then we have a list. We release them in that reverse order. And there's always a couple caveats because there's a few signings that haven't happened, which is kind of funny in and of itself because we talk about the impact of one player and like what's gone on with Trout in LA and how much one player can change things. But we get sucked into it in the offseason when it's probably how much has your young players developed because there's so many of them on every team. So are you ready to get into it? You got anything else you need to get off your chest, Trev?
I'm ready, man.
You're hot.
Again, I think the top 3 teams you can probably interchange. At least that's what I think. Maybe even the top 4 teams you could interchange, and they could be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So we are going to hurt some feelings today. But yeah, I'm ready to go. I think I have a consensus number 1 though.
Yeah, I think the top 5. I think there's a lot of great conversation points.
Ooh, I'm not going 5. I'm going 4. I think top 4. That's it.
Okay.
After that.
Well, I'm interested to see then. And
okay.
So how about this? I'll chew off just to get the kind of a primer or a base for our people. The top 5 that they selected coming into the season, it was the Atlanta Braves at number 1. It was the Dodgers at number 2. Rangers at number 3, defending champs. The Baltimore Orioles at 4. And the Philadelphia Phillies were at 5. Houston Astros at 6, by the way. That'll be a fun one. Trevor, the first game you wanted to play was everyone say they're number 1 on the count of 3.
I think we should.
The first ever Talkin' Baseball power rankings at the quarter mark of the season. In 3, 2, 1. Dodgers. Okay, so we're all there.
We did it.
I think it makes sense, and as we fill out the rest of the list, God, do the Phillies have an argument right now? They sure do. Better record. I think it has something to do with the fact that the Dodgers didn't really hit their stride until recently. And when you put that together with all the guys on this team, at a certain point, baseball comes down to the Jimmies and the Joes a little bit. You can look at bat speed, the new stat we'll dive into and all that, but this team is stacked, man, and they're performing.
Yeah, I think again, you could kind of I like the Phillies a lot here, but the Dodgers to me is a team that they're not going to be super streaky. Like this is a team that's a juggernaut that's not going to be streaky. Sometimes I feel like the Phillies can be streaky, although their starting pitching has like stabilized that this year. They're streaking on the good side a lot. But the Dodgers offensively as a whole, like I think getting like Andy Pages, like you mentioned, we know, especially with these good teams, like you're gonna have your 3 or 4 players that you can count on in your lineup, and then it's like, what are the rest of the guys gonna do? The Phillies, I mean, Bryson Stott's looking really good for them, but I feel like this year we've just seen a little bit longer of a lineup from the Dodgers. They have high end bullpen guys. The starting rotation right now, the one thing you could say is like what they're in the 5th spot. What are you going to do? But right now you're choosing between, and by the end of the season for sure, you're going to be choosing between Bobby Miller, Walker Buehler, and Kershaw for the quote unquote 5th spot in the rotation. There are other 4 guys that have been up there, been pretty dang good. They're a juggernaut, man. And again, you could probably put maybe 2 other teams in this top spot, but to me, the Dodgers are the most well balanced team of those.
I liked how you mentioned Andy Pages off the rip. Rookie outfielder for the Dodgers, has an 8.13 OPS right now, 23 years old, Cuban ball player. That,
I love it. Yep.
Right now they have him tucked into their 7th hole, where a lot of teams, especially at the bottom of the list, I mean, even, I love my Cincinnati Reds. They've been really struggling to hit this year. Like, you start doing the where would Andy Pages be in your lineup, or how many tweets would we receive about Andy Pages if he was on your team? And for the Dodgers, it's just like the body for now in the outfield. Like, okay, Chris Taylor, Kike, they'll have hot streaks at some point this season. I know Outman and Lux have kind of been struggling, and Outman was kind of last year's Andy Pages. So, they are 1st in OPS, 1st in runs scored, 3rd in starting pitching ERA, 4th in bullpen ERA, and 2nd in bullpen WHIP. They have the top billing. They have 3 of the top 4 hitters in baseball. 3 of the top 3. When you talk power rankings, if you really wanted to put a list that starts Shohei, Freddie, Mookie, I mean, I could throw Judge and we could throw Ronnie at you and a couple
Soto,
other guys, but they're special. They're playing that way, and like you mentioned, they're still getting healthier.
Yeah. Shohei doing what he's doing offensively too this year is massive.
It's comical.
You expect the guy to be good. You don't expect him to be this good. And then Mookie Betts, what stood out for me, and he's done this a little bit throughout his career. The walks to strikeout ratio has been dang good during his career, but right now he's got 30 walks to 18 strikeouts for the 441 OBP. That's something else right there. That's your shortstop.
Right. Formerly the best defensive right fielder, now playing shortstop. And Freddie's Hall of Fame, just trailing them. Okay, so I think you're alluding to it. Are you putting the Phillies too? Because I did.
I had the Phillies at 2.
Okay.
Beavers?
I had them 3, but I had them ahead of the Braves, which is the point we're all making.
Phillies number 2. This one's an easy one for me. Honestly, they've kind of done everything right as well this year. Harper's been good. As much as you talk about Shohei and Mookie and Freddie, like don't forget about, Bryce Harper. Like this guy he could be the best hitter in baseball depending on the day. Like when he gets hot, he gets scorching hot and he hits homers too. Their lineup has gone. It's been really long. Like I said, Bryson Stott has been turning on a lot lately. Alec Boehm has been phenomenal to start the year. We know about the starting pitching. They have a 6-man rotation they can go to. Ranger Suarez has been unreal. They have some bullpen guys that have really stepped up this year. Hoffman's been nasty. Um, I always say they're going to win a World Series in the Bryce Harper era. I have them picked to win the World Series this year. They're a complete team. They really are. So I'll put them at number 2 and have no hesitation about it.
They're 20-7 in their last 27 games, and again, for me, it was a fun ask for the baseball season. Like, hey, Phils, let's get out of the gate hot and give the Braves a run for their money. I think the things that would be question marks are getting answered not only in like check the box. Ranger Suarez has been one of the best pitchers in baseball. Alec Boehm has been one of the best hitters in baseball. And those guys were like is Ranger going to put it together for a full regular season? Does Boehm fit this team, right? Because he's kind of an offensive profiled third baseman. Like, do they need that? Well, yeah, sometimes. And I don't know, man. This Phillies team last year, they got out of the gate, depending where you want to do it. On May 19th last year, they were 20-24. On June 2nd, they were 25-32. Like, they got off to a pretty bad start last year to finish as a 90-win team. Now that they're off to this start, if they keep it rolling, they're a team that's going to chase 100 wins. And we didn't know if the Phillies would ever do that. And I think I liked what you said earlier. The starting pitching becoming a little more complete, I think that's the difference maker. Like, Turnbull's been awesome for them. They have so many dudes on offense that if they get that pitching, what do you do?
We've always said it's Wheeler, Suarez, and Nola when it comes down to the playoffs. You pare it down to 3, that's great. But if you can add, a Chris Sanchez who's been, like, when I watch him pitch, I think this guy is absolutely nasty. And the numbers are backing that up now. 3.2 on the year for him. And you mentioned Turnbull. He was great. I think he's in the bullpen now, and they're going to figure that whole thing out with Walker and him at the back. But again, a great problem to have when you have to decide who your 5th guy is, and you have a couple good options. That's what you want. Like I said, in years past, what's the bullpen been? And this year, like, they've been pretty dang good, man. So they made it a point. They said it coming out of spring training. And Topper said, we're focused on winning the division. They wanted to make a point. Let's not try to sneak into the playoffs. Let's go try to win the division. Let's get off to a fast start. They made a point to say, remember that the games matter in April and May, the same. And we collectively as a baseball fans always just said, hey, they don't care. They don't care. This year, they made it a point, and here they are, man, running it right now.
And Mookie's an unreal creature. We just talked about him. Bryce Harper moving to first base and still performing. And I don't know, our expectations for him are through the roof. That a 261, 387, 894 OPS, it almost feels like a little low for Bryce. It'll be interesting to track the rest of the way. Does he trend up from there? Because that wouldn't shock anyone. And God, Alec Boehm, a 934 OPS, 338 batting average.
And Castellanos has struggled mightily at the beginning of the year. He's starting to turn it on a little bit. So,
golly.
You have those guys. You have those streaky guys, Schwarber, Castellanos, guys like that who, throughout the year are going to go pretty hot, pretty cold. But he's on one of his hot streaks now, last couple of days.
Trev, the rest of our power rankings are brought to you by actually our Dan Patrick partnership. A lot of people might have seen this happen. Maybe you didn't. We have partnered with Dan Patrick and iHeartMedia, iHeart Podcasts, and Wake and Jake, which is me and BBD. A lot of baseball, but yucking on sports. It's a great time to be talking about sports. Wake and Jake and Jimmy's Three Things have joined the iHeart Podcast Dan Patrick Show family. So you could go check them out on their network. You could still go check them out on our network. We did a hit on the Dan Patrick Show, which was really cool. It was the same day they did Ryan Reynolds and Mac. They were talking about Wrexham, and so the graphic was like them and us, which it was a funny thing to see. A funny thing to see. So we're juiced out about it. So you're always looking to support us. This kind of has supported us. So thank you. Go check out their stuff. Go check out our stuff. Trev, you had it as a top 4.
Yes.
Which I'm going to think, actually, who are you leaving out? Because in my head, the next 3 are Yankees, Orioles, Braves in some order.
Braves are out of my top 4.
Okay. Cook, King.
Well, I have the Orioles at number 3.
Okay.
And you? You're the Yankees.
I'm an NL snob. I have it Dodgers, Phillies, Braves right now.
Wow. I can't give it to the Braves right now. I think that they can get there, but and the record. Okay, this is why it gets tough. I'm bringing the Braves down a little bit because they're not playing to their potential, yet their record is playing to their potential. If that makes any sense, like they're winning baseball games. They're kind of like the Guardians to me. I probably have the Guardians a little bit lower than you guys do, but they're winning baseball games. They're atop the division still. But I feel like for some of these teams, I'm looking to the future, and for some of the teams, I'm ranking in the present.
Right.
It's a very difficult operation for me. But for the Braves, yeah, I think that there's too many guys cold on offense that I don't think they deserve a top 3 ranking just yet. And they've done well to like weather the injury bug and all these things. Like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I just feel like this is my way of saying like, hey guys, like step it up a little bit. You're the Atlanta Braves. So I don't have them in my top 4.
Okay.
In fact, I don't have them in my top 5 or my top 6.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now we're doing it. Now Trev for clicks. Yeah, I guess maybe I'm going a little too much off of reputation. Because you're right. I mean, Ronald Acuna Jr.'s numbers this year, and coming off a Sunday Night Baseball where he got picked off twice. Matty Olson, date my daughter. Like a lot of these guys' numbers, you're right, aren't very Bravish or what you'd expect them to be. But they're 7th in batting average. They're 6th in on base. They're 6th in OPS. 13 in runs scored, which I still very much value as a stat. But at the same time, they haven't been hurt by it. Like
they've been winning games, but I think there's room for improvement on this team. This is a little slap in the butt for them. That's all I'm saying.
You're not wrong.
You have them at 3. Biebers, who's your 3?
Well, I had that group of 4 rounding out the top 5 as like I could be talked into any order, but I did go Dodgers, Orioles, Phillies, Braves, Yanks.
So I have Orioles 3. Biebers has Orioles 2.
I had Orioles 4. I have them as the top dog in the AL. I think that Orioles lineup that, it's young, it's relentless. Here we go again. They're first in home runs. They don't even have a home run hitter. 5th in OPS, 8th in runs scored. Their pitching is more impressive. And I obviously Corbin Burns is the name that we've all known because he won the Cy Young. It was the big trade they did. The part that's crazy to me is like Cole Irvin kind of came into the season not part of the rotation. He's been awesome. Kyle Bradish just came back. Last year's, where'd he finish in the Cy Young? 4th? John Means just came back. Your former Orioles ace that felt like the team kind of moved on while he was out of commission. And their bullpen's been electric too. That I believe in Pink. I believe in getting your playoff scars and being tested and all of that, which the Orioles, they don't really have that yet. At the same time, the other teams in the American League don't as well, that I think the Orioles are top dog right now.
Are we going to put them at 3?
I think on average, it's where
they've been better than the
3.
Braves. I'm all right with that.
I'll put them at 3. I think that this is maybe the longest lineup in baseball. Yeah, I think I'd give him that. We talk about guys stepping up and what Kowser and Westberg have done to go along with with Gunnar Henderson, who I think is my favorite player in baseball right now. I think he's taken over Trey Turner as my number one shortstop guy that I like to watch. He's just so fun. His swing is so pretty and powerful. And you mentioned the starting rotation. They've kind of been the surprise. They've been really good. Now, Craig Kimbrell has not been good for them. So the back end of the bullpen, they need to like figure it out. They say they're going to continue to stick with him. We'll see how long that goes. There's been all the Mason Miller talk. Would they go out and try to get someone like that? I believe they're going to add to the bullpen. I guess that's one thing you can point to. Okay, like they haven't had the guy to close out the games who's been consistent for them. Doesn't matter. They still continue to win. I just really, really like this team. They still haven't got swept since Adley Rutschman has come up. They haven't lost consecutive games since like April 13th, so a full month where they just bounced back and have answered. They're legit, man.
Be a interesting deadline for them yet again, and probably every year for the next couple. Although, we would have said that for the Chicago White Sox, who haven't been mentioned yet on the power rankings list and might not be till late in the episode. But yeah, I mean, closers are usually something you can find because teams like to cash in those chips when they can, because technically WAR value-wise, you're not getting it there. It feels like something that would be a no-brainer, and you wonder if we get some Felix Bautista rumors by the end of this season, which would be very interesting. They're stacked, and it again, like Jackson Holliday got sent back down. Is he going to be back up this year, and does he contribute? Interesting to see. So, if we're going Dodgers, Phillies, Baltimore.
Yes.
The fourth team is?
I have the Yankees as 4.
Now, you understand why this is an interesting topic for me and David.
Yeah, you guys are going to be called biased, but I let off with saying I have them 4.
So
I like where their offense is at. I think Soto has completely changed every hitter in that lineup's mentality, and he just brings a completely different vibe offensively to your team. Clearly, like obviously you put one of the best hitters in the lineup, he's going to make it better, but I think he makes it feel different. Like the approaches are better because of him. I think the starting pitching has been, all the question marks that we had about the starting pitching have been answered, and you still haven't even had Garrett Cole pitch for you yet. That's very, very, that means something. So I kind of like everything about the Yankees and what they got going on right now.
Pretty close to the situation here. The Yankees lineup has been good, and it hasn't felt like it's all happened yet, which again is kind of for me, that's good news. Like Volpe moving up to leadoff, he's just he had a rough stretch. It seems like he's going again. Judge kind of hadn't clicked, and somehow his season numbers are good, and he's like starting to go nuts. Soto's incredible. Every at-bat is must-watch. Verdugo carried for a little bit. Rizzo has turned it on. Stanton has been consistently a threat with young guys contributing that, I don't know, I guess I was trying to keep my Yankee bias out of it, putting the Braves above them.
Where did you have them?
I had the Yankees at 5.
Okay.
I had the Yankees at 5.
So not too far behind.
No, but I thought the Orioles deserved the nod. And I mean, twist my arm if you think the Yankees are better than the Braves right now. I can believe in it.
You guys can convince me. Beavers, what do you have for?
I had Yankees at 5, but like I said, 2 through 5, I could have been talked into just about any order, as long as
you guys
Orioles were ahead of Yankees and Phillies were ahead of Braves.
You guys both have the Braves ahead of the Yankees.
I did. I mean, again, it's
typically that's when we would say, okay, then they're going to be 4. I have them at 7.
I think we have them as close enough of a toss-up that your drag down makes Yanks 4, Braves 5 rather fair.
Yeah, I'd go Yanks. I'd go Yanks and Braves if we're coming up with the consensus. Just I do think you're right. I think the Yankees have been a little better than the Braves with more upside potential. The Braves have been a little worse with crazy upside potential that feels like it hasn't happened yet. That, again, it becomes kind of the fun part of this exercise. Are you Are you forecasting or not? Which I don't think these are supposed to be. So let's go Yanks, babe.
Most wins in the AL right now.
Clay Holmes hasn't allowed an earned run.
Whoops.
Like that's nice to have in the back end of your
Sorry.
bullpen. Like I said, like the rotation to me has been the most surprising part of this entire thing. Because Cortez, I mean,
Luis Heel.
Luis Heel's been a huge. I mean, that's what we were talking about. Who's going to step up for your team? Luis Heel's been great. Rodon's been great. I think the best days of Stroman are still ahead of him, but he's had really good starts. He's kept you in ball games and giving you a chance to win for sure. Clark Schmidt's been great. And again, when is Garrett Cole coming back? He's throwing right now, right?
He's throwing off a mound. He threw I think he threw 29 pitches, not 30. It's happening. So I think the Yankees know they have a good team, which is cool. But they're not going to rush Cole at all. July is kind of currently in Yankees' heads of like we would expect to see Garrett Cole by then.
Love that. Okay, so we have Dodgers, Phillies, Orioles, Yankees, and then we're gonna go Braves with 5. That's what it sounds
Yes.
like. Okay.
Which
I had a couple teams ahead of them, but I think I had a difficult time doing that. It wasn't for clicks, people, I promise. I think that they haven't been as consistent as they need to be. And in saying that, they're still winning games at a great clip. So it's difficult.
So I can't wait to see where you're going next, because this next hodgepodge.
This is where it became truly challenging to me.
This is where I don't know where. I think this might be the opposite of hot takes, because I think this is the part of TPPs where we look at each other and we're like, I don't know. I mean, Seth Lugo's the best pitcher in baseball. So I'm just gonna name some teams that I think are on the table.
Are we done with Braves discussion?
I think so.
I think so.
I think we've
mentioned them along the way.
I think the Braves are fine with what's happened. They expect more from their team. They don't expect a team to be above them in the standings. And the Phillies have been cooking. So
we're 24-13, and we're saying you guys aren't even good.
Braves fans, when you're commenting, remember who had them at 3. The next grouping of teams that can be chopped up a lot of different ways: Guardians, Royals, Brewers, Cubs, Twins, Mariners. I mean, Texas. It might start be tearing down a little bit there.
I have Texas in that group.
So Trev, I think you've had the most. I don't want to say variance, but you've had a little gap. Who is your next up?
I have the Brewers at 5.
Okay, I'm in on the Brewers.
I'm in on them. I was teetering between 5 and 6 for them.
Okay,
I had them at 6.
They landed 6.
Our biggest ask from the Brew Crew for years was do something offensively, and they've been
great offensively.
They've been a juggernaut. 3rd in OPS, 3rd in stolen bases, 6th in homers. And if we had talked about that before the season, we would have said what, like Jackson Churrio's next? Like he's been on the struggle bus. It's the young player thing that has become so obvious, I think, to us. And I almost think there's a point to not. I don't know. In baseball, we get sucked into free agency and trades and what are we going to do? But when Bryce Terang becomes a top 50 player, when William Contreras becomes an MVP candidate, and all the contributions, like at points this year, Blake Perkins has been going off. Frelick, Oliver Dunn had a run there. That with Rhys Hoskins' consistency, Willie Adames locking back into who Willie Adames is in a contract year. The Brewers' offense is a problem, and they've just always pitched, even though their numbers aren't flashy pitching-wise right now.
And they brought Robert Gasser, so that's a boost to the starting rotation for them. Bullpen, they're trying to figure out everything, but they have guys that can get it done. But yeah, to me, it's been offensively. This is what's carried this team. Yelly's had a great year, and you mentioned like this is a pretty long lineup now. I think Rhys Hoskins definitely changed the dynamic of the team. We've talked about them being the new bad boys of baseball. There's a little bit more of an edge to them. I feel like, than there has been in years past, and they've just been winning baseball games. They've just done a really really good job. Some young guys, some old guys. I mean, Gary Sanchez having big hits here and there for them is awesome to see. So yeah, I mean they've done enough to me to warrant being a top 5 team. Although I think we have them at 6.
Yeah, I think it's 6, and those other teams, those other teams that we're about to talk about, they either have a little more history question marks, or this season has had more question marks for me that I like the Brewers getting the nod.
Trevor McGill at the back end he's turned it on real nice. Do you have Brian Hudson in your book before the season?
So not before the season. Not before the season. He pitched in extra inning games against the Yankees, so I became familiar with him. But yeah, he was on a scoreless streak. And that's Devin Williams got hurt right before the season. Like the Brewers right before the season were primed for maybe the wheels fall apart. There's no more Counsell. What are we going to say about Houston?
This could have been a hell April.
Devin Williams gets hurt right before the season. Like the things
they traded Corbin Burns away, and we're like, okay, what are they doing? What are we? And then you mentioned Devin Williams is hurt, and I said during TVPs, I said this is when I trust the Brewers the most.
Yeah,
and here they are.
When they snuck in
one of those teams.
When that Rhys Hoskins contract came out, all of us did a head tilt. Like, damn.
We were all mad we didn't think about it until it happened, and that it felt so perfect.
Sending him to the Twins didn't work out.
Yeah.
Although Slam Tan has been all right for us. Not really. He's turned it on.
How's that?
Yelly, by the way, hasn't missed a beat. Would have been in Fuego. Missed 23 games, 0 for 5 in the first one. He's 7 for 11 since that.
Yum.
How's that sausage on your head, Carlos Slamtana? Do you have the Twins next? Are you all in?
I do have the Twins next. I had them ahead of the Braves. Maybe that was a little bit of bias for me right now.
I like that.
And I have them ahead of the Guardians, who are, they're winning the division. But I think the Twins have just played incredible ball. I think they're like 17-3 in their last 20. The offense has turned it on. Starting pitching still interesting to me. I think there's still room for improvement there, although Paddock and Simeon Woods Richardson have had some pretty decent starts in the last couple times through. They kind of have it all. Like, there's not a big hole on this team, if you will. Like, the offense has been really good as of late, and it's been through guys like Willie Castro and Ryan Jeffers, almost guys. I mean, Jeffers you would expect, but Willie Castro's done a really nice job. But like guys like Julian and Kirilloff have largely kind of struggled and haven't really carried their weight. But they're scoring runs when they need to. The timely hitting has been great for them during this run. They've hit with runners in scoring position. Before that, they were just horrible. I don't think they got their first hit with runners in scoring position for like the first 2 weeks of the season. And all of a sudden they're getting a hit. It seems like almost every single time when they get a guy on. So they're running hot. I think that's the reason why I have them this high. And again, I just think the roster is pretty complete, like pretty full. And they've dealt with injuries too. Like, they're going to get better. When Maurice Lewis gets back, they're going to be better. Byron Buxton is almost back from his knee. I don't even know what they called it, just a knee strain. But when they're full go, when they have all the guys, and Kepler continues to do what he's been doing, it's just they're playing great baseball right now. It's like hard to not have them up in the rankings when you run off a streak like this. And you could have said, yeah, it was the White Sox, the Angels, but they just did it to the Red Sox, the Mariners, and the Blue Jays. And those are better teams, and they're continuing to win series. So I'm all in right now.
Guardians, Twins, Royals. I'll listen to any argument about those teams. I think with power rankings, I think team history does come into play, and the Twins have that. They've been the most consistent. The Guards have they let us down last year. When you click on their team page, I don't know. The depth of that team, like, they kind of haven't gotten a lot from their rotation right now. Like, you look at the Guardians' rotation, and it used to feel like they had the advantage there every game, almost. And it doesn't feel like that now, and their lineup is still so reliant on just one or two guys.
And Quan is now hurt.
Yep.
Which is difficult for them.
I think the Twins get the nod over the Guardians. And if the Royals had a different team name, I think they would get the nod over the Twins. But what they've shown us the past couple of years, you just can't do that.
I have them close. Are we putting the Twins at 7? Where'd you have them at, Beavers?
I had this whole tier was a mess. I have them in this group. Like technically, I had them I think 9, but everybody in this area was like I can be talked into whatever.
Who was ahead of them? Did you have the Guardians?
Cleveland's in the group. Cubs are in the group. Rangers and Mariners are in the group.
Rangers were a very difficult team for me.
They were really weird.
I think for even coming into the season for the Texas Rangers, there were some question marks that they got a lot of defending champs. And I think part of the reason, and A, that should get respected, B, they're waiting for a lot of guys to come back. And so I think for current power rankings, they kind of didn't. These other teams deserve love before them. And when we check in next time, we'll see where that is. I think the only team that could give Minnesota a full argument for we're better would be the Cubs.
Okay. I've Cubs a little lower.
But I kind of haven't been bought in on the Cubs. I've been telling Cubs fans like I'm starting to drink the Kool-Aid. I'm about it. Shota has just been so good. I'm good with the Twins there. I think they've deserved it.
Twins at 7. It is.
God, bias much? Yanks, Twins?
No. Hey, 17-3 will get you skyrocketed up the power rankings. Okay?
Yeah, they survived that initial punch of the season. And those two teams are about to tee it up for 3 in the Bronx. So
that's right.
That'll be fun. 8-hole.
I picked Aaron Judge for my homer draft pick.
Wow. Look at that. Fade in the fade, people. Fade in the fade. Let's try to round off this top 10. I do think we got to start moving and shaking a little more so we can get to everyone's teams. I guess you would be the person I would ask between the Royals and the Guardians right now. And then I guess what
I have the Royals ahead of the Guardians.
Okay.
My 8, 9, 10 right now is Rangers, Royals, Padres.
Wow.
I think the Padres are really turning it on. I'm actually becoming a big-time Padres fan. They just took a series. They've taken all of this series from the Dodgers. They split the first one, but they've taken it to the Dodgers, our number 1 team in the rankings. They've done a really good job against them. I think there's still room for improvement there offensively for them. They have some guys that, Tatis could still get it going and Bogarts could still get it going. But I just kind of like what I see when I watch them play. They look like a scary team to me. Like they look like a team that could make a run in the playoffs.
Part of me likes it because we've done some Padres schedule, and they also just added Luis Ariz. Like that's a significant piece. And
yes,
cut back to me 15 minutes ago saying how one player can't change a team, but maybe they can't. That's the beauty.
Walked the Dodgers off in
That's
his
the
first
beauty
game.
of it. Yeah. Texas, I can't put up there right now. And maybe timing's everything in life. They just got swept by the Rocks. You used, the Orioles haven't been swept with Adley. Like, Texas, that's supposed to be...
6 runs in 3 games,
That's
I think
supposed to be get the sticks hot and get on a hot streak, and it went the other way.
Well, who's your 8, 9, 10?
8, 9, 10... Fucking Twins. I didn't mean that.
You did mean that.
I did mean that.
You said that with your gut.
I'm going. I need the Royals. I have the Royals. Man, the Royals
ahead of
make
the
it tough.
Guardians.
I have the Royals ahead of the Guardians. I'm going to go Cubs, Royals, and I like the Padres now. Like, at a certain point, you do have to respect the talent.
I agree. Bieber's what's like you're rounding out of the top 10, then we can kind of put these numbers together here.
I'm comfortable with that. I would have been fine with Cleveland or Texas sneaking into that group, but I'm not slamming the table for them over.
Are we
those
going
three.
Royals, Padres, Cubs, rounding out the top 10? We're leaving the Rangers and the Guards out. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. I think I would say the order again. Royals, Padres, Cubs. I think the Cubs have to be above the Padres. They've been good.
Royals, Cubs, Padres?
Yes.
Royals ahead of everyone, huh? Royals at 8?
Dude, if they
Royals,
they weren't named the Royals, I think we would be a lot more hype on them.
Tied for second in the AL with the 49 plus 49 run differential. Rotation's been great.
The rotation's been awesome. 4th in ERA. They're 12th in runs scored. The bullpen is solid. All the young player stuff, Maikel Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino. Melendez had a stretch. He kind of came back down to earth.
All right. Royals at 8 it is. Congratulations, Kansas City. That's got to be exciting to have your team back in the fold after what? How many years has it been, man?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Years. You have some exciting... what I like about this team, the Royals, is you have Sal Perez, who's just a god tier catcher. Check that out. That's some lingo for you. I think I've heard Teddy say that one time. He's been incredible. And then you have Bobby Witt. So you have like a baby and a grandpa just playing out of their mind. I love it. I love everything about it. And the people they brought in to the rotation, they could be seen as like, oh, we'll see how it goes. They've been lights out. They're playing really, really good baseball. So I like giving them 8. And then we're going to go Cubs at 9. I'm writing all this down. And Padres at 10.
Trev, you can go see all of these teams play on SeatGeek. SeatGeek, I mentioned code Talkin10 off the top. 10% off if you're going to see if these Royals are for real. If you need to support your team because you can't believe Texas and Seattle didn't make the top 10. Go check it out with SeatGeek. It's so easy to use. Also, if you're going to concerts and stuff, like they mentioned Bad Bunny on here. Sure. That was my nickname for a couple years. Code Talkin10, whether you've used the app or not, 10% off your next order. They've kept this code going for us. There's a link in the description. Download it. SeatGeek, they're the best. Trev, I think we need to start cooking with gas. So I want you to run through 11 through 15.
Do you know Patrick Wisdom is one dotting it? Why isn't he playing more?
Oops.
That's a question for Cubs fans. I gotta figure that out. Anyways, 11 through 15. Okay, well, I have the Rangers at 8 on my ranking, so I haven't put them in yet.
We're coming up on them.
So I would go Rangers, Guardians, Mariners, Red Sox. Is that enough teams?
Yeah, Rangers, Guardians, Mariners, Red Sox. That's enough for us. I mean, I think we've ended up being disrespectful to Cleveland. Like, they had an awesome April. They're still doing a lot of good things and winning games. That for me, if I had to sort through those teams, I think I would go. So did you say Seattle?
I have them after the Guardians. I'll go Rangers, Guardians, Mariners, but I'm open to putting the Guardians ahead of the Rangers if that's what you're thinking, because they are still in first in the AL Central and the Mariners are in first in the AL West. So I can flip flop those two teams. That doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, for me, and this goes against my hitting book a little bit. Seattle hadn't hit, but that kind of hasn't slowed them down, and there's going to be more hitting. Like, Julio's going to happen at some point.
You think?
I think.
2 homers on the year, right? He just hit one yesterday.
Maybe it's starting.
I feel like we say that a lot with the Mariners offense. Okay, they're going to be here. I also give them a ton of credit. Every year I'm like, this team, I like what they're doing. They seem to have a plan, and you look and you can say this is a pretty long lineup, and then it just kind of doesn't happen. They end up like 13th or 14th in runs scored throughout the year. So we've been bitten by that before, but I think the rotation is one of, if not the best in all of baseball. So
I would go
up there for me.
I would go Cleveland, Seattle, Texas.
Okay.
Cleveland has shown it on different sides of the ball. Seattle's pitching the hell out of the ball. They currently lead the division, both them in Cleveland. And what you're saying, right? Like, it could be glass half full. Julio's about to go. The rest of the offense will come with it. Or that could not happen until like July, because we've kind of seen that. So I want to give the Guardians deserve some flowers. And yeah, Texas, maybe it's just bad timing for them, but I don't know.
Coming off a sweep of the Rockies, I feel like that leaves a bad taste.
That's tough. That's tough for them. But that's a great game.
I'm looking at this is the thing with Cleveland. Okay, like, I want to like them. They are winning the division. They're finding ways to win, but like, the offense, I don't think is going to be able to. They're not going to be 9th in the baseball in runs scored throughout the year. I think there's going to be a little bit of regression there. They're 15th in OPS, 19th in OBP. I feel like middle of the pack offensively is probably where they end up landing. And the starting pitching, like, it hasn't been great, and that's usually where we can rely on them. So maybe I'm talking myself into maybe they can be, or they should be where they're at. I don't know, man. It gets difficult right here. The bullpen for them has been phenomenal. That's been really, really good. I'll leave them at 11. 11, 12, 13. That's Cleveland, Seattle, Texas. I'll take that. 14, 15, 16 to me will be something like Red Sox, D-backs, Tigers.
Okay. Kind of funny. Cleveland and Texas are about to play 3 in Texas, so can look foolish on that in a couple hours. Okay, say that again. So
14, 15, 16 to me would be Red Sox, D-backs, and Tigers.
Red Sox, D-backs.
And now we're getting to the point of the rankings where teams have holes, and there's some good things that they're doing. Like, obviously, what the Red Sox starting pitching has been doing this year is awesome, but the offense hasn't been good enough to propel them into a higher standing to me.
Playing a little catch up, trying to write down the official. So we're officially Cleveland 11, Seattle 12, Texas 13.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Trev, I think you're right. I think in that 14 slot, I think it's the Boston Red Sox.
They're middle of the pack offensively, and the pitching has kept them afloat.
Again, they're starting pitching. We're almost waiting for the bottom to fall out. We were waiting for the bottom to fall out a week in, and it hasn't. So at a certain point, you got to give credit. Their bullpen numbers are nice, and the offense, they've survived a lot of injuries.
They've had a ton of injuries. There's no doubt about that.
This is the Red Sox 5 through 9 right now. Vaughn Grissom, who just came back. Dom Smith. From the rafters. Connor Wong, who's had a couple big days at the office. Garrett Cooper and Rafaela kind of flipping the lineup. And right now the bench, Romy Gonzalez, David Hamilton, Rob Refsnyder. So they have survived Casas and Story, and Yoshida's now out. The Red Sox deserve a lot of credit for what they've done this year.
Yeah, I think this is an appropriate ranking for them.
For me, it's the Snakes are coming. Watching them play against the Orioles this weekend, Corbin Carroll got off to an awful start to the season. It was getting ugly. They've got Monty rolling now. They're 3rd in runs scored.
We've had a couple big games.
Yeah, they've cooked the books on that a little bit, but those big games were also this weekend against the Orioles that we said how good their pitching's been and everything. It feels like they've been waiting, and it's happening, that they deserve a little respect from last year. Paul Sewald is back for them. Like, they've gotten some guys back and some guys going that I think it's about to really happen for the Snakes.
Yeah, by the end of the season, we could be talking about their rotation as one of the best in baseball as well, or at least one of the deepest in baseball. So I like having them there. I like thinking that yes, they could rise up in these rankings. There's been a bunch of questions asked like about Padres D-backs, like which one would you take to make the playoffs this year? And I think that's a really healthy discussion. And we have the Padres at 10. D-backs on their way up.
Snakes got to earn it just a little more. They dug a little hole. It's looking better. It's feeling like what good Diamondbacks baseball is, just like action on the bases every inning. That's what it felt like in the Orioles series. They've got Monty now. They're still waiting on some more reinforcements. I think they're coming, and the Padres too. That division. And you're right. The Tigers are the last team. They still have some upside. They've come into a funk, but I think when it's
figure it out offensively, man.
And we've said that about a lot of Tigers teams. That
yeah,
but yeah, of these next teams where things start to get ugly, that I think we're gonna start throwing more darts at the board. But I liked what I've seen from the Tigers this year more than the Rays, the Nats, the Mets? Question mark. Do you believe in the Blue Jays' talent? Because they're a win behind a couple of those teams, but one win in baseball can go away quick.
So I have the Tigers at 16, although they have been playing pretty bad baseball as of late. I think they lost 7 of their last 9. Offensively, they just haven't gotten it going. I actually liked the City Connect jerseys when I saw them in play on the field. That's a take.
Okay.
It doesn't matter for their rankings, but I just wanted to say that. Don't love the script, the font on them, but everything else is pretty cool. Also, the Cleveland Guardians, I mentioned that on Twitter. I really like those.
Yeah, the
nice texture to me was very nice. Anyways, so we have them at 16, 17, 18, 19 for me is Mets, Rays, Jays.
I had Rays, Jays, Mets, so the same 3.
Okay, so we found another grouping. If we were doing those tier lists you're always talking about, Trev.
Yeah.
Rays, Mets, Jays. Rays, Mets, Jays. If I'm being honest, I believe in the Blue Jays more than those other teams.
Just talent level.
Rays, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm fascinated. They just got some reinforcements back. Josh Lowe, Randy and Yandy had awful Aprils, and now they're starting to click. The Rays brand of baseball just felt like a team that never made mistakes to a team that defensively and base running makes a lot of mistakes. Rays fans, I guess, sound off. I would say Jays, Rays, Mets.
Jays, Rays, Mets. I can get down for that, especially at this point.
Yeah, we're at that point. I think these teams are too. The next follow-up grouping, the 2 biggest disappointing teams so far this year are probably Cardinals and Astros.
Yes, I don't have them. I don't have them in my next grouping.
Okay,
I don't have them among the next 3.
So would your next 3 be Nats, Giants?
My next 3 are Nats, Giants, Reds.
Those are the 3 I have.
Okay, then it's a Nats.
The Reds
Giants.
The Reds are playing horrible baseball as well, but we still have them above the Astros and the Cardinals overall in the year, which is a crazy thing to say. Number one, I thought the Reds would be a better team. They just haven't gotten the job done.
Yeah.
And number 2, I mean, the Astros and the Cardinals. We definitely went on years past to develop those preseason rankings, or at least a thought process of where they're going to be throughout the year, and they just haven't got the job done, man. I don't. There's going to be so many players available from these teams, and it's going to be shortly. It's going to happen. I have a feeling this year, and I was talking to someone about this. we're going to see guys getting traded a lot earlier this year than years past. The
I
deadline to
hope
me
so.
is, I think that's the smart play. I think that's the way baseball is going to start moving. We see the Padres
Some
already making
wave.
moves. The Marlins are going to start shipping people off pretty quickly. Then after that, I feel like it's going to start to snowball, and we're going to see teams like the Cardinals start moving pieces. I mean, they've dug themselves such a big hole, and I mean, yesterday, I don't know. I mean, does the manager really mean anything? I'm not sure, but they look like they're like Marmal's trying to fire them up by getting thrown out of games. That's when you know things
Yeah.
are bad. When you're a manager and you got to get thrown out to fire your team up, that's when you know you're down bad. But yeah, so I have Nats at 20, Giants at 21, Reds at 22.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Nats at 20, Giants at 21, Reds at 22.
Giants have been gianty. There's a chance we check in, but there's also 3 teams kind of we do like them more. That they haven't been playing a pretty brand of baseball. They might have gotten the Reds at the right time this weekend. That I don't know. I hope we're saying a different story for San Francisco, but they kind of haven't been doing it on any level, which is nuts.
No, they haven't.
And the Nationals have played the best baseball of these teams, but the expectations are kind of zero. But man, they might build. There's young guys coming. Like, Natitude might be back soon.
Yeah, they're on their way. As far as the Giants, you're 21st in OPS, 24th in WHIP for your starters, 19th in WHIP for your relievers. I mean, you just really haven't done anything well. And then Jung-Hoo Lee's out now. I think that's an appropriate ranking for where we're at in the season right now for the Giants.
Nats over Giants.
Nats over Giants.
I have Nats, Giants, Reds. And then this is where it becomes just an absolute. What's this tier? The F tier? Are we at the F tier?
I don't think we're at
there's
the
group.
F tier. I think Marlins, Rocks, White Sox have clearly bottomed.
I do have the 2 teams that we've been kind of dancing around next.
So you
I have
think
the Pirates and the A's ahead of. No, I don't actually. I have the Pirates at 23. I have the Astros 1 spot above the A's because, and this is what I was thinking when I wrote that.
I do have Astros.
There's
1
no
spot
way
above
the A's finish ahead of the Astros in the standings this year, even with what we're looking at right now and how bad the Astros have been. I just can't fathom a season right now where the A's finish ahead of the Astros by the end of the year.
then let's go Astros A's. And the A's have played better baseball. They're a baseball team. I know that's not the best breakdown you'll get. But like, I watched them play the Mariners this weekend, and it was very much like they were putting the pressure on the Mariners, and that back end of their bullpen is horrifying. That if you go down to the A's, you're probably going to lose that game. I know I've said that a few times, but they are a real
ahead of the Astros. You know what? Put them ahead of the Astros because at least they're playing an inspired brand of baseball.
I think if we're
and they should
being
be rewarded.
honest with for who you'd rather play this weekend, I would rather play Houston than Oakland.
Houston did just win 2-3 from the Tigers. There's that, I believe. Let's go. So I have, first of all, we have Pirates ahead. At least I do.
I'm kind of out on the Pirates.
You want to go A's, Pirates, Astros? Did you watch the Paul Skeens start?
I did watch the Paul
Takeaways?
Skeens.
My takeaway is this guy's clearly a big league ace. Like, clearly a big league ace.
Yeah.
Like, is there room to improve? Yes. Like, the command will get better. First start, kind of weird weather. The command will be there. Once the command is there, he's clearly an ace. Like, the stuff is incredible. The way he controls the slider and is able to steal a lot of first pitch strikes from it and hitters counts, throwing that up there, having to respect the changeup, fastball as hard as he throws it. Once he learns to locate that fastball a little bit better, he's like, no doubt in my mind, this guy's an ace.
Yeah, I do think it's funny that we go through the same thing in sports, that Skeens is incredible, and it's probably going to be an ace for the next blank amount of years. But it was like when Chris Morrell knew a fastball was coming. At this level,
he got to 3-1. I thought he was going to pump and he'd a laser back up the middle.
At this level, they hit that, where I think at a lot of levels they do not. So I think that'll be the fun adjustment to watch as Skeens develops, whether it's, hey, 3-1, maybe you can't throw the fastball, or if you're going to throw it, you got to put it in a nice spot. So it's kind of funny to see that happen. But, yeah, he's got it. I don't think the Pirates can hit it all. That, like, I had them below Houston and Oakland.
Okay, let's go A's, Astros, Pirates. I could do that. Yeah, the Pirates right now, 27th in OPS, 27th in runs scored, 25th in homers, 26th in average, 23rd in stolen bases. Not where you want to be. Okay, so 24 is A's, 25 Astros, 26 is the Pirates. Is that what I have?
I think so.
I think 25. I think we're through 25.
We're through 25 is the Astros.
Yes.
Pirates.
I think I have A's 23, Astros 24, Pirates 25.
Okay.
Your 26 team?
I have the Cardinals.
It's the Cardinals.
I have the Cardinals.
So
I believe it's the rest of the teams. Like the Cardinals, like I don't know why I still have a string of hope for them. But I think they're going to be one of these teams that starts offloading their product pretty quickly. I made a call for Arenado to be traded. A lot of Cardinals fans are like, not this again, not this early in the season. It's like, well, first of all, I don't think I've ever said that. But they've played horrible baseball.
Horrible.
Uninspired, horrible baseball. Like, it's coming. It's coming. Like, they are going to start unloading if they can. You know, he's got a no trade clause.
Right.
Or, you know, whether he wants to go or not, I'm sure he does. Things are going to start happening here. So, yeah. I have the Cardinals at 26, and then to me at the end, you can kind of slice this up however you want it. I had Angels 27 because they've played some of the worst baseball I've ever seen in person, but they're not as bad as the Rockies, the White Sox, or the Marlins, and that's how I have my end of the rankings shaping up. Cardinals, Angels, Rockies, White Sox, Marlins.
Yeah, I mean, Rockies, huge time to get that W4 going. Yeah. Like, yeah, I could battle a little bit because oh my God, the White Sox are scoring 2.9 runs per game. Jesus,
it's bad.
It just that their roster page is so sad. I have them 30th, but
Brendan Rodgers steals his first base, so we like that.
They're going to get rid of some of their guys. Kopech's going to get traded. I'm curious to see what they do with Crochet, if they're going to continue with him. There's moves coming. But anyway you slice it, the last 4 teams are all kind of the F tier for me.
Yeah, no, you're right, and that is the end of the list. Halos, I hope you guys have fun ball, and maybe Cole Tucker can be the light that brings fun ball to the Angels. Yeah, I think that's the end of the list. Beebs, you want to read it off? The official power rankings?
Yes, so our top. Starting from number 1, we have the Dodgers, Phillies, Orioles, Yankees, Braves, 5. From 6 to 10, we have Brewers, Twins, Royals, Cubs, Padres.
Central, baby.
It's a lot of Central.
A lot of Central up top. 11 to 15, Guardians, Mariners, Rangers, Red Sox, D-backs. 16 to 20, Tigers, Blue Jays, Rays, Mets, Nationals 20. 21 to 25, Giants, Reds, A's, Astros, Pirates, and then our final 5 are the Cardinals, Angels, Rockies, Marlins, White Sox. Unless there's an exact order we want those bottom 3, but I kind of just put that down.
Fine.
I think the biggest movers for me that could move up this list are the Giants and the Rays. I think if the Giants found a way to be a little bit more consistent and start hitting the ball a little bit, they can move up. And the Rays are, again, just kind of an anomaly. They've started to go a little bit now. And Johnny DeLuca's been hot since he's been back. Like there's a chance that we see the Rays go on some sort of run here and they could, you know, find themselves the top 3rd of these rankings. That wouldn't surprise me whatsoever.
Yeah, oh God. I was just gonna say I was gonna buy a little red stock, but their West Coast trip and they've got a tough schedule that I was gonna give a speech about how the Reds, if they can get a little 4-game winner and they start having flashbacks to last season and some balls start finding outfield grass, like they can get the sauce again. I shouldn't have looked at their schedule. I'll say Toronto. I still believe in their talent over the Rays as a team that it should click at some point, but it's always supposed to have clicked. That maybe that big comeback against Minnesota can find something in them, although they lose the next day. I want Toronto to burn us on this list. I wish I could believe in the Cardinals or the Astros, but I just don't. And the team that I think we're scared about, the Kansas City Royals. Like if that bottom falls out quick, I think we're going to be looking at each other like, it's the Royals, right?
I could see that.
Yeah. Rangers at 13 could escalate. They just won. They've proven they can win. They got guys coming back. They're a half game out of first place of their division.
That would be
they'd be the upper end.
The DraftKings rope-a-dope bet would be Mariners or Texas to be top 5 in the next power rankings, -115. And I would probably take it. Like one of those teams is probably going to go nuts, right?
Rangers are 3rd in runs scored.
If we did this, and I mentioned this before, but, depending when we would have done this last year, we would have been talking about a 20-24 Phillies team. And is their bottom falling out and what's next for them? So, hey, if your team was towards the bottom of the list, note that there's a good chance we could be wrong.
That was hard.
It's not an easy activity. Hey, again, we wanted to try something a little different, mix up the series recaps. Please comment if you like this. If this is kind of the quarter poll of the season. Do you want a 3-quarter poll check-in? What did you like? What didn't you like? Why were we wrong about your team? Please let us know in the comments. And make sure you guys are subscribed. All that stuff helps.
Yeah.
So, Wednesday might be another special episode. People are talking.
Got some stuff cooking.
Yeah. We'll prompt you. Chick sucks.
I'm going to get Wyatt Langford right. That's what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to get this kid right.
Yeah? Forearms.
No, that's not what's going to happen.
It's on the IL.
Forearms.
I think, right?
I'm gonna get Evan Carter back to Tennessee. Me and him are going to go swimming in that stream. The Elizabethan twins, or they're not the Elizabethan twins anymore. Who's playing at that field? I want to know.
You, Evan Carter, and Jesus.
And Morgan Wallen.
No way it was.